Father Michael,
Father Michael,
Father Michael,
Father Michael,
Father Michael,
Father Michael.
Hi kids, it's Father Michael here. Today we're going to be learning about Gideon. God's people had not been listening to him, so he had allowed the Midianites to raid the land and destroy all of their food. When the people realised their mistake, God chooses Gideon to rescue them. Gideon, the smallest man in the family, whose family is the smallest in the whole of the tribe. He cannot believe that he's the man for the job, and he asks God to prove it. Greetings, mighty warrior. The Lord is with you. Gideon froze. The voice had come from somewhere nearby, but Gideon couldn't see who had spoken. In fact, he couldn't see very much at all, because at that precise moment, he was standing at the bottom of a hole in the ground, perhaps a bit like this. And he wasn't tall enough. He wasn't tall enough to see out of it. The hole was a pit that had been dug into his father's land long ago. In days by, people would have used this. They would have filled it with grapes, and they'd have crushed the grapes with their feet. They would have made wine. But now the pit was a hiding place for Gideon. He could keep his food out of sight of his enemies. Now it was 7 years since the people of Israel had begun to disobey God. 7 years since the Midianites had begun to raid their land and destroy their food. 7 years since the Israelites had begun to flee from their homes to hide way up in the hills and in caves as well. Only now were God's people beginning to realise their mistakes. Only now were they beginning to turn to God for help. Gideon pulled himself up. I can imagine a bit like this. He pulled himself up to the top of the pit and peered over the edge. There, sitting on the ground, with his back leaning against the old oak tree that belonged to Gideon's father, was an angel. Mighty warrior, the angel said. The Lord is with you. I don't think so, Gideon replied. If God is with me, why am I hiding in this hole in the ground? Why are the Midianites taking all our food? Why has God left us? Gideon, the angel told him, the Lord is sending you to save all of Israel from the Midianites. I don't think so, Gideon laughed. How can I save Israel? My family is the smallest in my tribe, and I'm the smallest in my family. Nah, you've got the wrong man. God will be with you, the angel insisted, and you will defeat the Midianites, as if there were only one of them and not a whole army. So Gideon sent messages throughout the land, calling the men of Israel to join him in battle against the Midianites. And to his surprise, they came. 32,000 of them.
So kids, who protected Gideon's heart and gave him the power to do what was right? You've got it. It was God, wasn't it? And what piece of armour has God given us, if we're followers of Jesus, to protect our hearts? That's right, the armour of godliness. Knowing that God is with us and that he'll protect us gives us the power to do what's right. The Bible talks about us having separate pieces of armour, you know. It says we have the helmet of salvation. That means we know that we're with Jesus, we're going to be okay. We have a shield that is a shield of faith. This faith shield stops all the devil's tricks. The belt of truth, we spoke about that the other week. This is knowing that Jesus is true, and that shields us from all the big fat lies of the enemy. And you know, we're told that we even get special shoes to wear, and that means we can walk around and tell others about Jesus. And of course, one of the main things is the sword of the Spirit, and that's God's words. And his words, or his word, is what we find in the Bible. Hey kids, hope you have a really, really great week, and I hope to see you really soon. This is Father Michael saying goodbye for now.